The small town of Ridgeview, Colorado, was the kind of place most people drove through without noticing. Wooden houses, quiet streets, old diners, and mountains rising like giants in the distance. But for 18-year-old Evan Parker, Ridgeview was the center of his world, a world he felt he didn't quite belong to. Evan was the kid who stayed after school to help his English teacher organize books. He was the boy who liked silence more than small talk. His classmates often said he lived half in the real world, half somewhere else. And maybe they were right, because Evan's dreams were not like normal dreams. For as long as he could remember, his dreams were warnings, messages, or sometimes strange glimpses of people he hadn't met yet. He never understood why. He only knew that every dream carried a feeling, a heavy, unshakable feeling that something bigger than him was moving quietly in his life. One cold December night, Evan sat alone at his window. Snowflakes touched the glass like tiny whispers. His mother was working the night shift at the hospital, and the house felt too silent. He wrapped a blanket around his shoulders, opened his notebook, and drew the same symbol he had drawn for years, a circle with a line cutting through it. He didn't know why he drew it. It simply appeared in many of his dreams. At midnight, his eyes grew heavy, and he drifted into sleep. The dream Evan found himself standing in the middle of a desert highway. The sky was glowing gold, as if sunset and sunrise were happening at the same time. Warm wind brushed past him. He could hear distant footsteps, then a voice, soft, strange, almost familiar, whispered, "Your destiny begins when you find her." "Who?" Evan shouted. The highway began to crack beneath him. A bright light rose from the ground, blinding him. And in the middle of the light stood a silhouette of a girl, but he couldn't see her face. Only one detail was clear: she wore a silver bracelet that shone like the moon. The voice spoke again, louder this time. "Find her before the choice finds you." Evan gasped and woke up so suddenly that he almost fell off his bed. His heart pounded. His hands trembled. This dream felt heavier, clearer, more urgent than any dream he'd ever had before. "Find her, before the choice finds me," he whispered to himself. He looked out the window. Snow was falling harder now. Somewhere in the quiet darkness of Ridgeview, a girl he had never met, a girl with a silver bracelet, was waiting for him, and his destiny had already begun. The next morning, Evan's alarm rang at 6:30 a.m., but he was already awake. He had barely slept after that strange dream. His mind kept repeating the same words: "Find her before the choice finds you." He got dressed slowly, still thinking about the glowing bracelet, the cracked highway, and the mysterious voice. Snow covered the street outside, turning Ridgeview into a quiet white world. His breath made clouds in the freezing air as he walked to school. When he reached Ridgeview High, the hallways buzzed with noise, lockers slamming, students laughing, teachers hurrying. But Evan walked through it all as if he were underwater. His focus was on one thing, the girl from his dream. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her face. All he knew was the silver bracelet. A strange feeling. During his first class, American literature, Evan tried to focus on the lesson. His teacher, Mr. Collins, talked about destiny in classic stories, but the word hit Evan harder than usual. Destiny. It felt like the universe was trying to tell him something. As he looked around the classroom, he noticed something unusual: a new student sitting in the back corner. A girl he had never seen before. She had long dark hair, soft brown eyes, and a quiet expression. She wore a thick winter sweater and held a notebook tightly on her desk. Something about her felt familiar. Evan's heart started beating faster. "No," he whispered to himself, "it can't be this easy." He forced himself to look away. But then, when she lifted her hand to brush her hair behind her ear, he saw it. A silver bracelet, shining under the classroom lights. His breath caught. It was exactly like the one from his dream. The first encounter. The class ended. Students rushed for the door. Evan stood frozen, staring at her. She packed her books slowly, carefully, as if she didn't want attention. His hands shook. Should he talk to her? What would he even say? "Hi, I think you're the girl from my destiny." Before he could decide, she looked up, directly at him. Their eyes met for the first time. Evan felt something he had never felt before, like the world became silent for a moment. Her eyes were calm but also filled with something deep, something unspoken, almost like she knew him. She walked past him, but as she did, she said quietly, "Nice drawing in your notebook." Evan froze. He hadn't shown anyone his notebook. He didn't even open it today. How did you? He started, but she was already gone, disappearing into the crowded hallway. Evan stood there, speechless. She had noticed the symbol he always dreamed of, the circle with the line. How did she know? Who was she, and why did it feel like she had been waiting for him? For the rest of the day, Evan could barely focus. His teachers spoke, his classmates joked, the bell rang, but everything sounded distant, like he was watching life from behind a glass wall. Only one thing filled his mind. The girl knew about his drawing, the symbol, the one from his dreams. Her silver bracelet flashed in his memory again and again. Every detail from his dream matched her perfectly. It felt impossible, yet undeniable. Lunchtime confusion. When the lunch bell rang, Evan walked to the cafeteria with shaking hands. The room buzzed with voices, chairs scraping, trays clattering, but he scanned the tables until he found her. The new girl sat alone in the corner, reading a small, worn-out paperback book. The silver bracelet gleamed against her wrist like a shard of moonlight. Evan took a deep breath. Okay, just talk to her, he told himself. Ask about the drawing. Ask how she knew. Ask something. He walked toward her table, but halfway there, he stopped. He saw something that sent a chill down his spine. On the inside cover of her book, drawn lightly in pencil, was the same symbol, the circle with the line through it. He froze in place. How does she know that symbol? Why does she draw it too? Is this destiny, or something dangerous? Before he could move, she closed the book and looked up, her eyes meeting his with quiet intensity, and then she smiled, a small, gentle smile that made him feel both calm and terrified. You're nervous, she said softly. It's okay. You can sit. Evan swallowed hard and slowly sat across from her. The conversation for a moment, neither of them spoke. The cafeteria noise faded in Evan's ears, replaced by the pounding of his heart. Finally, he whispered, how did you know about my drawing? She looked down at her bracelet, turning it slowly between her fingers. Because, she said quietly, I've seen it too. Evan felt a cold shiver run down his back. In your dreams? She nodded yes. Since I was 10. Evan stared at her, shocked. This couldn't be real. Someone else had the same dreams, the same symbol, the same feeling. What does it mean? He asked. She hesitated, then leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I think it means we're connected. You and me. And I think someone, or something, has been trying to bring us together for years. Evan's breath caught in his throat. What's your name? He asked. She smiled again, a mysterious, almost sad smile. My name is Lena. Lena, the girl from his dream, finally had a name. The warning. Just as Evan was about to ask more, Lena's expression changed. Her eyes darkened, and she lowered her voice until he could barely hear her. You need to be careful, Evan. She paused, then added, dreams don't send warnings without a reason. Evan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What danger? He whispered. Lena looked around the cafeteria, then leaned in even closer. The choice, she said, the one your dream told you about, it's coming sooner than you think. Before Evan could respond, the bell rang loudly, shaking him from the moment. Lena stood, gathered her things, and whispered, we'll talk after school. Meet me at the old bridge. Then she walked away, leaving Evan with a heart full of questions, and a feeling that his life was about to change forever. Evan spent the rest of the school day in a fog. He heard nothing his teachers said. He couldn't eat. Every second felt heavy with expectation. Lena had said to meet her at the old bridge, the place people in Ridgeview whispered about. A wooden bridge half broken with age, stretching over a dried riverbed at the edge of town. Most teenagers used it as a shortcut home, but adults said the bridge was unsafe, haunted, or simply unlucky. But today, it wasn't the bridge that scared Evan. It was the choice Lena warned him about. The words repeated in his mind like an echo. Dreams don't send warnings without a reason. The choice is coming sooner than you think. At 3:15, the final bell rang. Students filled the hallways, laughing and running toward the exits. Evan stepped outside, zipped up his jacket, and headed toward the forest path that led to the old bridge. The snow had stopped, but the air felt sharp and still, too still, like the world was holding its breath. The meeting. When he arrived, the bridge stood silent and empty, its wooden boards creaking under the weight of the cold. Evan stepped onto it carefully, his breath forming small white clouds. Evan. He turned. Lena stood at the other end of the bridge, her dark hair blew in the wind. Her silver bracelet glimmered. But something about her looked different now, more serious, more worried. She walked toward him slowly. You came, she said softly. Of course, Evan replied. You said it was important. Lena leaned against the railing, looking out over the frozen forest below. There's something you need to know, she whispered, something I've never told anyone. Evan's heart pounded. Lena's story. When I was 10, Lena began, I had my first dream with the symbol, the circle with the line through it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was just imagination. But then, she continued, I started dreaming about places I had never been. People I had never met. And choices I hadn't made yet. Evan felt chills crawl up his arms. You too? He asked quietly. Lena nodded. That's why my family moved so often. My parents didn't understand what was happening. They thought I needed a fresh start, but the dreams followed me everywhere. She looked directly at Evan. And then, a year ago, I started dreaming about you. Evan felt his knees weaken. Me? Why me? I don't know, Lena admitted. But every dream told me the same thing, you and I are connected. And one day, we would have to make a choice that would change everything. Evan swallowed hard. What choice? Lena hesitated. Her eyes filled with a sadness he didn't understand. One dream was clear, she said slowly. It said one of us would have to lose something, something important, to protect the other. Evan stared at her, stunned. What does that mean? Lena looked away. I don't know. But the dreams always show two paths. And only one of them leads to safety. Something strange. Before Evan could speak, something shifted in the air, a sudden, heavy pressure, like the air thickened around them. Lena froze. Evan felt his stomach drop. Did you feel that? He asked, his voice shaking. Lena nodded slowly. Yes. It's the same feeling I get right before a new dream begins. But I'm awake. The wind howled through the trees. The sky darkened slightly, as if a cloud had swallowed the sun. Suddenly, Lena grabbed Evan's wrist. Evan, she whispered urgently, we aren't alone. Evan turned quickly, expecting to see someone on the trail, or a shadow among the trees, but there was no one. Only the sound of the wind, only the silent forest, only the two of them on the old bridge. Yet the feeling remained, cold, heavy, watching. Something was there, something they couldn't see, and Evan understood, in one terrifying moment, that whatever destiny was pulling them together, it had finally begun. The wind grew stronger, pushing against the old bridge and making the wooden boards groan beneath their feet. Evan felt Lena's grip tighten around his wrist. Her eyes scanned the trees with sharp, fearful focus. Lena, Evan whispered, what's happening? She didn't answer at first. Her breathing grew quick and shallow. Finally, she said in a trembling voice, this feeling, it's the same one I get in my dreams right before something appears. Evan swallowed hard. Something? Like what? Lena shook her head slowly. I've never actually seen it. It always stays in the shadows. A sudden cracking sound echoed through the forest, a branch snapping. Evan jumped. Did you hear that? Yes, Lena whispered, and it wasn't the wind. They both stared into the dark cluster of pine trees. The forest looked normal, quiet, cold, untouched. But both of them felt the presence now. Heavy. Watching. Waiting. Another crack, then another, closer. Evan took a step back, pulling Lena with him. Maybe we should leave, he said, his voice tight with fear, but Lena didn't move. She kept her eyes fixed on the tree line. No, she said softly. If it followed us here, running won't help. The shape. The air turned colder. Their breath came out in thick clouds. Evan felt like his heartbeat echoed in his ears, and then, between the trees, something shifted. A blur of darkness moved behind a trunk, fast, silent. Evan gasped. There. Did you see? Yes, Lena whispered. It's been following me since last night. Evan turned to her sharply. You knew? Why didn't you say anything? Because, she said, her voice breaking, I didn't know if it was real, or just another warning from my dreams. I didn't want to scare you. The shadow moved again, closer this time. Evan stepped in front of her instinctively. Stay behind me. Lena grabbed his arm. No, Evan, don't. If the dreams are right, we're stronger together. Evan wasn't sure what that meant, but he didn't have time to ask. The shadow shifted once more, and now only a few steps inside the trail. It was hunched, tall, unnaturally still, more of a silhouette than a shape, not human, not animal, something else. Evan's chest tightened. What is that? Lena whispered in a shaking voice, I think it's the thing that's been trying to reach us in our dreams. The symbol appears suddenly, a bright light flashed on Lena's wrist, her silver bracelet began to glow, softly at first, then brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. What's happening? Evan cried. Lena looked terrified. I don't know. The symbol, the circle with the line, appeared on the bracelet in glowing white. Evan stared, stunned. It's the symbol from our dreams, he whispered. The forest wind roared, the shadow creature moved closer, and then something unbelievable happened. A faint, glowing symbol appeared on Evan's hand, the same circle with a line. Evan's breath caught. Lena, why is it appearing on me? She stared at him, wide-eyed. It's reacting to you. To both of us. It means the moment is here. What moment? Evan demanded. The moment the dreams warned us about, the first choice. Before Evan could respond, the shadow stepped out of the trees, and its voice, low, hollow, echoing like it came from a deep cave, whispered, "You were warned." Lena grabbed Evan's hand tightly, and everything around them exploded into blinding white light. The white light swallowed everything. Evan felt his body lift off the ground, weightless, floating, helpless. He tried to shout, but no sound came from his mouth. His vision blurred. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. The world spun around him in strange colors and shapes. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light disappeared and Evan fell, hard, onto cold ground. He gasped and pushed himself up, coughing. The air felt different here, heavy but strangely warm. When he looked around, his breath stopped. He was no longer on the old bridge. He was standing in a vast, endless desert, the same one from his dreams. The sky glowed in shades of gold and orange, as if frozen in a permanent sunset. The wind carried whispers he couldn't understand. The sand beneath his feet shimmered like glowing dust. Evan. He turned quickly. Lena was standing a few feet away, staring at the desert with wide, terrified eyes. "Are you okay?" Evan asked, rushing to her. She nodded shakily. "I think so, but where are we?" Evan swallowed. "I've been here before. In my dreams." Lena looked around again, her voice trembling. "Then this isn't real." Evan shook his head slowly. "No. It is real. Too real." Before Lena could respond, a deep rumbling sound echoed across the desert, like a distant storm. Lena grabbed Evan's arm. "We need to move. Now." The path appears as they stepped forward. The sand beneath them began to shift. A trail formed, glowing faintly white, stretching far across the desert like a gentle river of light. Evan stared at it. "The path, in my dreams," Lena whispered. "It always appears when a message is coming." The air vibrated as a voice, the same voice Evan heard in his dream on the roof, whispered through the wind. "Two paths, two fates, one choice." The voice echoed around them, shaking the very sand. Lena wrapped her arms around herself. "We aren't here by accident," she whispered. "This place, it's the world between dreams. My grandmother told me stories about it when I was little." Evan blinked. "You knew about this? About dreams like ours?" "Not exactly," Lena said, shaking her head. "I never believed it until now. She always said some people are born with a connection to destiny, and that those who share dreams, share a purpose." Evan felt goosebumps spread across his skin. "A purpose to do what?" Before Lena could answer, the desert trembled again, this time stronger. A towering silhouette appeared in the distance. Evan squinted. Is that the shadow creature?" Lena's face turned pale. "Yes. It followed us here." The dark shape moved slowly but powerfully across the glowing sand. It wasn't running. It didn't need to. It knew they had nowhere to go. Evan grabbed Lena's hand. "We have to take the path. It's the only direction we have." Lena nodded, gripping his hand tightly. They began running along the glowing trail, the desert wind roaring around them. The shadow behind them grew larger with every second, its long limbs stretching across the sand like ink spreading on water. The vision as they ran, the path suddenly split, two glowing trails branching in opposite directions. Evan and Lena stopped abruptly. Their hearts pounded. The voice whispered again, "Two paths, two futures, but only one can be chosen." Lena stared at the left path, glowing blue, calm, steady. Evan stared at the right path, glowing red, brighter, intense, almost painful to look at. "What do they mean?" Evan asked. Lena's eyes filled with tears. "I've seen this before, in my dreams." She pointed to the blue path. "This path protects you." Then she pointed to the red one. "This path protects me." Evan stiffened as the shadow creature was getting closer. "We have to choose," Lena whispered, voice cracking. "If we choose wrong, we might not get another chance." Evan felt the weight of destiny pressing on his chest. What happens to the one who isn't protected? Lena looked down. Something bad. Evan stared at her, the girl he had only known for a day, yet felt connected to his entire life. He stepped closer. "Lena, I won't let anything happen to you." Lena shook her head, tears falling. "And I won't let anything happen to you." Behind them, the shadow roared, a terrifying, hollow sound that shook the desert floor. The two glowing paths spread before them. One to save Evan, one to save Lena, and the shadow was only seconds away. The desert wind howled violently as Evan and Lena stood frozen between the two glowing paths. The sand trembled under their feet. The shadow creature was close now, close enough that they could hear its slow, heavy breathing. Evan grabbed Lena's hand tightly. "Lena, we have to pick one." She shook her head fiercely, tears streaking down her face. "No. Not like this. Not when one of us has to lose something." The blue path pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, calm, safe, steady. The red path burned brighter, flickering like fire, dangerous, intense. Evan could feel the energy of each one pulling at him. The blue whispered, "Choose safety. Choose yourself." The red whispered, "Choose sacrifice. Choose her." Behind them, the shadow let out a deep growl, and the ground shook violently. Lena stepped back. "We can't choose based on fear." "Then how?" Evan shouted over the roar of the wind. "How do we choose when we don't even know what we're choosing?" Lena wiped her tears with her sleeve. "We choose with trust." Evan stared at her, a girl he barely knew, but somehow knew deeply. Something stronger than logic tied them together. Something older. "Evan," Lena whispered. "If the dreams brought us here, it wasn't to lose each other. It was to find the truth." The shadow roared again, louder, closer, no more than 30 feet behind them. Evan swallowed hard. "Then we go together." Lena looked at him, confused. "But the paths only protect one person." "Then we'll protect each other," Evan said, stepping forward. "No path chooses our fate." "We do." Lena stared at him, shocked, scared, amazed. Then she nodded. "Together," she whispered. The leap. They tightened their grip on each other's hands and ran forward, straight between the two paths, not left, not right, straight into the unmarked sand. A blinding flash exploded around them. The wind stopped. Everything went silent. The ground disappeared from beneath their feet. They fell, together, into darkness at the chamber of echoes. When Evan opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a smooth stone floor. The air was warm. Soft glowing symbols covered the walls, the same circle with a line through it, repeating endlessly. Lena sat beside him, rubbing her head. "You okay?" she asked softly. "Yeah. I think so," Evan said, sitting up. "Where are we now?" Lena looked around the circular chamber. "This place. I've seen it before." "In your dreams?" Evan asked. "Yes." Her voice trembled. "But every time I reached this place in a dream, I woke up before anything happened." Evan stood, helping her to her feet. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter. Then the same voice from the desert echoed through the chamber, deeper, louder, clearer. "You rejected the paths." Evan and Lena exchanged a frightened look. The voice continued. "You chose unity over separation, and so the truth may be shown." The symbols on the walls blazed with light. The floor shook. A large stone doorway appeared in front of them, slowly opening. Behind it was a swirling vortex of blue and gold light. Evan's breath caught. "What is that?" Lena stepped closer, her eyes widening. "I think it's the answer. The reason our dreams started. The reason we were brought together." She turned back to Evan. "Evan, are you ready to see what's on the other side?" He took her hand again, steady, firm, unafraid. "This time with you," he said softly. "Yes. Always." Lena's cheeks flushed, but she didn't look away. Together, they stepped toward the doorway. But just as they did, the shadow creature appeared behind them, inside the chamber. It had followed them, and now, it blocked the way back. Evan pulled Lena behind him as the creature's massive form rose, its hollow voice whispering, "You were never meant to break the paths." The doorway pulsed, waiting for them. The shadow stepped closer. The chamber trembled. Evan and Lena had only seconds to decide: run through the doorway, or face the creature, and risk everything. Emma sat on her bed, hugging her knees, the soft glow of the lamp filling her tiny New York apartment. For the first time since arriving in the city, she felt truly unsure of herself. The echo of her slip performance kept replaying in her mind, her voice shaking, the forgotten lines, the moment she froze under the spotlight. She had dreamed of this life for so long, yet tonight she felt farther away from success than ever. But then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Mr. Parker. Come to the theater early tomorrow. We need to talk. Her stomach dropped. Was he going to remove her from the production? She barely slept that night. Every doubt she had tried to ignore came crashing back. Maybe her parents were right. Maybe she should return to her small town, work in the cafe again, live a simple life. Dreams were beautiful, but reality felt heavier. The morning after the next morning, the cold New York wind hit her face as she walked toward Midtown. She kept her head down, breathing slowly, preparing for the worst. When she entered the empty theater, the lights were dim, and the seats looked like dark shadows watching her. Mr. Parker stood in the center of the stage. Emma, he said calmly. Do you know why you messed up last night? She looked down. Because I'm not good enough. He shook his head. No. Because you were trying to be perfect instead of trying to be real. Emma looked up, confused. Mr. Parker continued, this city doesn't need perfect performers. It needs performers who feel. You froze because you were scared of failure. But failure is part of destiny. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. You're not out of the show, Emma. You're growing. And growth is uncomfortable. Relief washed over her like warm sunlight. The turning point. He handed her a script. Read this line again. But this time, read it like Emma, the girl who moved across the country chasing a dream, not the girl who fears making mistakes. Emma took a deep breath and read the line. This time her voice cracked a little, but it felt powerful, emotional, honest. Mr. Parker clapped once. There she is, he said proudly. The real you. In that moment, Emma realized something huge. Destiny doesn't demand perfection. It demands courage. She left the theater later that day with a renewed fire in her chest. This city was still tough, still loud, still unpredictable, but now she felt ready for it. Tomorrow wouldn't just be another rehearsal. Tomorrow would be the beginning of the Emma she was meant to become. The next week moved fast, almost too fast for Emma to catch her breath. Rehearsals grew longer, the cast grew closer, and Mr. Parker pushed her harder than ever. But this time, Emma didn't break. She didn't freeze. She didn't doubt herself. Something inside her had shifted. She started waking up every morning with a new sense of purpose. She wasn't just dreaming of becoming an actress anymore, she was becoming one. The unexpected visitor. One Wednesday afternoon, just after a long rehearsal, Emma was gathering her things when a tall woman wearing glasses and holding a clipboard walked into the theater. She spoke quietly with Mr. Parker for a moment before he called out, Emma? Come over here for a second. Emma felt a strange twist in her stomach as she approached Emma. This is Linda Morales, a talent scout. The woman smiled warmly. I saw your rehearsal today, Linda said. You were compelling. Emma blinked in shock. Me? Yes, you, Linda laughed. You have something rare. Honesty. Emotion. I'd like you to audition for a small role in a new TV series. Emma's heart almost stopped. A TV role? Now, before she could speak, Linda added, it doesn't have to take you away from the play. But it could be a good opportunity. Think about it. She handed Emma her card and left as quickly as she had arrived. Emma stood frozen, the card shaking between her fingers. She had come to New York with almost nothing, no connections, no experience, no guarantee of success. And now, someone important was noticing her. Her friends react. Later that night, she shared the news with her roommates. Lily screamed and grabbed Emma's shoulders. Are you serious? This is huge. Jason laughed, tossing a pillow across the couch. I told you. I said it from day one. You're going places. Even Emma's heart didn't believe it yet, but she smiled for the first time. She truly felt like her dream wasn't just a fantasy. It was forming. Shaping. Becoming real. A walk through New York. Emma slipped out for a late walk to clear her mind. New York glowed around her, subway rumbles, streetlights shimmering, strangers rushing past with their own dreams. For the first time since she arrived, she didn't feel like a small-town girl lost in a giant world. She felt like she belonged here, like the city was finally opening its doors to her. She looked up at the skyscrapers and whispered to herself, this is just the beginning. And deep in her heart, she knew it was true. The night of the big performance arrived faster than Emma expected. The theatre buzzed with excitement. Friends, family members, tourists, and even a few important faces from the industry filled the seats. The warm hum of the audience filled the air like a living heartbeat. Backstage, Emma stood in front of the mirror, her costume glowing under the dressing room lights. She could hear the murmurs through the curtain, the shuffle of feet, the soft music beginning to play. A Lily poked her head in. You ready? Emma exhaled slowly. Yes, she said softly. More ready than I've ever been. And she meant it. The performance that changed everything. When the curtain rose, Emma stepped onto the stage, and the audience vanished. There was only the story, only her character, only the moment she had been working toward for months. Her lines flowed like water, natural and alive. Her emotions were honest, raw, powerful. She didn't try to be perfect, she simply was. Every mistake she once feared became fuel. Every doubt she once carried became strength. When she reached the final scene, her voice trembled, not from fear, but from passion. The entire theatre was silent, listening, feeling, and when she delivered her final line, the spotlight caught her face just right. A second of stillness, then the audience erupted into applause, real applause. Loud, wild, unstoppable applause. Emma felt her chest tighten with emotion. She didn't just act well tonight, she owned the stage. After the curtain closed, backstage was chaos, happy chaos. Castmates hugged her, congratulated her, and told her how incredible she was. Then she saw him, Mr. Parker. His eyes were soft with pride. You didn't just perform tonight, he said, you transformed. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. He smiled. That's what mentors are for. But destiny? Destiny is all yours. A new beginning. As the crowd slowly left the theatre, Linda Morales, the talent scout, found her again. Emma, she said, handing her a contract folder, would like to officially offer you the role. Emma stared at the papers, her hand shaking. It wasn't a dream anymore. It was real. A real TV role. A real future. A real destiny. Later that night, Emma returned to her rooftop, the same spot where she once doubted if she even belonged in the city. But tonight, the city lights didn't look intimidating, they looked welcoming. She whispered into the cool night air, I did it. And then she corrected herself with a small smile. This is only the beginning. The wind brushed her hair, the city sparkled below, and Emma finally understood, dreams are not given, destiny is not handed to you, you earn them, one brave step at a time.